Good evening from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. This is Space Shuttle Endeavour Launch Control. Everything continues to go well and as planned with our countdown for the launch of Endeavour, which is scheduled for 3:33 a.m. Eastern Time on Space Shuttle Mission STS-88. This will be the first shuttle mission to support construction of the International Space Station. The primary objective of this flight is to deliver into low Earth orbit the Unity connecting module and to mate it with the previously launched Zarya control module. Zarya is the Russian-built component that was launched last month from Kazakhstan in Russia. This mission will feature 3 spacewalks in order to complete connections between the 2 modules. This mission will mark the beginning of a 5-year orbital assembly of the space station and kick off a new era of international space exploration using the resources and expertise of 16 nations. And we do have live TV of the astronauts as they're seated in their crew quarters. And of course, everyone again is ready for launch this morning. We have 6 crew members on this flight. Of course, our Sergei Krikalev is flying for the second time on the space shuttle. Pilot Rick Sturko is flying for the first time. Nancy Curry making her 3rd flight. And our commander, Bob Cabana, on his 4th mission. Mission specialist Jerry Ross preparing for his 6th flight, one of our EVA specialists. And Jim Newman, the other EVA specialist, preparing for his 3rd flight into space today. Looks like all the astronauts are awake, as we told that they were awakened at about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Seated here for a final snack or a meal before they go into the suit-up room and make preparations to come on out to the launch pad, where we'll make our launch attempt this morning at about 3:35, 3:36 a.m. And we do have live TV from the suit-up room. Our mission commander, Bob Cabana, is making his 4th trip into space. He was selected to be an astronaut back in 1985 and logged over 600 hours in space as pilot of 2 missions and commander of 1. Piloting the vehicle this mission is first-time flyer Rick Sturko. He did fly in 41 combat missions during Operation Desert Storm and was a test pilot in the Naval Air Warfare Center in Maryland before being chosen as an astronaut in 1994. Jim Newman will be one of our EVA specialists on this flight. This is his 3rd flight. And he and Jerry Ross will be making 3 spacewalks on this mission. His first mission resulted in a nighttime landing at KSC, and this mission will be a nighttime landing as well on December the 15th. Well, the astronauts wear a various combination of equipment with their suits. Jerry Ross here is preparing for his 6th mission. And he will be the other EVA crew member on this flight, along with Jim Newman. Most recently, Jerry flew on mission STS-74, which docked with the Russian Mir space station. Looks like Nancy Curry there. We can't see her face, but she's there she is, putting her helmet on, making fit checks of the helmet, making sure that everything is nice and snug. And our final crew member is Sergei Krikalev. He's our cosmonaut on this mission, making his 2nd trip into space aboard the space shuttle. Versed in space flight, he spent 15 months in space during 2 separate missions to the Mir space station. Back with Nancy Curry preparing for her third flight. And we see our astronauts on the third level of the operations and checkout building. They've just left their crew quarters and are making their way down the hallway, which will lead them to the elevator, which will carry them down to the entry level of the operations and checkout building. Again, all crew members are reporting in healthy this morning and ready to fly on our second attempt to launch mission STS-88. And we see Mission Commander Bob Cabana with his pilot Rick Sturko, Mission Specialist Jerry Ross, Nancy Curry, Jim Newman, Sergei Krikalev, all waving and ready to fly. And the crew are entering the astronaut van, which will carry them to launch pad 39A. And we do expect them to be arriving at the pad in about 20 to 25 minutes. And the crew have arrived on the 195-foot level. And they're making their way across the orbiter access arm to the White Room, where members of the closeout crew are making final preparations for their entry into the vehicle. And we can see Commander Cabana now climbing into his seat. The glare from the window, of course, not coming from anything other than the bright xenon lights that are shining on the pad to illuminate the vehicle. With Cabana now on the flight deck in his seat, getting situated, Mission Specialist number 3, Jim Newman, will be the next to enter the vehicle, and he will be seated on the mid-deck and be assisted into his seat by one of the closeout crew members. And we have a photo again from inside the flight deck as pilot Sturko climbs through the maze of seats and equipment to find his seat.
OTC, CDR, com check.
CDR, OTC, I read you loud and clear. Good morning, Bob.
Hello, Bruce. Let's go do this tonight.
Amen. We're going to do it tonight. Copy that.
And Sergei Krikalev is now entering the vehicle. He'll be making his way to his seat on the mid-deck. And Jerry Ross is now in the vehicle. He will be seated behind pilot Rick Sturko. And Nancy Curry is now in the orbiter Endeavour.
MS-1, this is Houston. I read you loud and clear. Good morning, Jerry.
Morning, Doc. Loud and clear.
And all astronauts are now secured in their seats.
CDR launch director.
CDR, go ahead.
See, Bob, the launch team is all go. We're ready today, and we're proud to be a part of building the International Space Station.
Rolf, we just want to thank the whole launch team for a really smooth comp thus far. We want to thank everybody that worked so hard the last 24 hours to clear all the technical issues, and we're ready to start on a new era in international
go for orbiter access arm retract.
And we have a go for the access arm retract, which is occurring at this point. The access arm can be returned to position within a mere few seconds if need be.
OTC, PLT, APU pre-start complete, 3 right talkbacks.
I copy. TLS is go for port sequence 4.
The final test of the flight control surfaces will be conducted. This is a programmed pattern of movements designed to verify the readiness for launch of the engines and other flight control surfaces. The gaseous oxygen vent hood will slowly be retracted away from the top of the external tank.
Verify no unexpected errors.
PLT in work.
Everything continues to look good, and we are cleared for launch today. No problems are being reported from the vehicle or the crew.
OTC, PLT, caution warning cleared, don't expected errors.
I copy. And Endeavor, close and lock your visors and initiate O2 flow. You have a very exciting mission ahead of you. We wish you maximum success.
Endeavor, roger. Thanks a lot.
T-minus 15 seconds. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. We have a go for main engine start. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1. We have booster ignition and liftoff of the Space Shuttle Endeavour with the first American element of the International Space Station, uniting our efforts in space to achieve our common goals.
Roll program.
Houston's now controlling. Endeavour's rolling on a course heading northeast from the Kennedy Space Center toward a 240-mile-high rendezvous with the Zarya control module. Endeavour already traveling 575 miles per hour, altitude 3 miles, 1.5 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center. 3 engines on board now throttled down to 2/3 throttle to prepare the spacecraft to pass through the area of maximum aerodynamic pressure, also called max Q.
Check it, throttle up.
Three engines on Endeavour now back at full throttle.
Endeavor, you're go at throttle up.
Roger, go at throttle.
Altitude now 11 miles. Endeavour speed 1,500 miles per hour, 8 miles northeast of the Kennedy Space Center. 1.5 minutes since liftoff, Endeavour's already burned more than 2.25 million pounds of propellant, weighing less than half of what it did at launch. Altitude now 19 miles. Speed 2,400 miles per hour. Flight controller standing by for burnout and jettison of the twin solid rockets, coming up in about 10 seconds. Booster officer confirming a good separation of the twin solid rockets. Endeavour's speed now 3,200 miles per hour as it moves into its second stage, 3 main engines.
Endeavor, your performance is nominal. You are 2-engine Maroon.
Performance nominal, 2-engine Maroon. I hope it was quite a sight for everybody outside. It sure was spectacular inside. Okay, there's main engine start. Pretty soon you'll see the SRBs, a lot of shaking and vibrating, and it really lit up the cabin inside. Jerry's taking a look with his mirror to see what it looks like out the overhead window there. CJ, Nancy, and I were too busy looking anywhere but at the gauges and main engines. It was really a nice, smooth ride. A lot of, shaking and vibrating on the solids, but it was a steady, good acceleration. Rode through the bucket real nice. Max Q, pretty good there with that new throttle bucket. You really know you're going to space. We're about a minute into ascent now. We're going to take you up through SRB SEP because it was spectacular out the windows for a nighttime launch.
Bob, it was clear as a bell from the ground as well.
You can see the shaking starting to decrease a little bit here. Of course, as you get closer to SRB SEP, thrust decreases so we can set those motors. We're coming up on PC50 here. About 10 seconds here to SRB SEP. There's PC less than 50, and there's SRB SEP. Jerry's trying to look for the SRBs there with his rearview mirror. Notice how nice and smooth it gets, and from there on, it was just a nice, smooth acceleration out to Miko. A little bit of a slight vibration, probably due to the payload, but a nice, smooth ride, and Miko was great. We got some great pictures of the tank. Jerry and Jim out the overhead window, and CJ and I and Nancy saw something I'd never seen before. When we went to Attitude post ET photo detail, we actually saw the tank out the forward windows. It was pretty far away, but pretty cool. Well, here we are looking at a beautiful full moon out over the payload bay coming back into the flight deck. As I said, we had this place really ship-shape, but we got into EMU checkout and digging for things in those mid-deck bags, and it really got a mess down there, so we're going to let you see it. Heading down on the mid-deck, past the WCS there. Here's Nancy digging out some of the bags. You can see these huge refrigerator-sized bags that were back where the airlock used to be, and each one of them is just full of stuff.
I was probably announcing the fact that I found both dips and use.
I was kind of beating my way through all the stuff we've got floating around. When we get done here, we'll move it all back into the airlock area. It really stows up pretty nice back here where the airlock used to be and leaves us a lot of room down on the mid-deck. That's for all the folks that like to fly aerobatics with me in the T-38. I just love aileron rolls. With the tunnel and adapter going back to the airlock, there's really a lot of space. Here's Jerry, Jim, and Rick doing EMU checkout. We had a pretty busy couple of days. It was really a rush once we got up here on orbit to get through post-insertion and pre-sleep and get everything set up, but we managed pretty well. And today we've been busy checking out all our tools. Everything is checked out really well, and we're really looking forward to pulling Unity out of the payload bay tomorrow and attaching it to the ODS.
Yeah, we were really happy that the arm checked out okay, and everything looks great for tomorrow. We're all set.
I'm trying to troubleshoot network, try to find which part of the net is broken.
Sergey's a real computer whiz. He's been back and forth on these PGSCs doing everything today, amongst other duties. And just a beautiful shot of the ODS and Unity in the payload bay, where it's not going to be very much longer.
Endeavour Houston, we're seeing video now.
Roger, we're just taking a look at the grapple picture. You probably saw, or maybe you didn't see it at the video, we just came down did a sweep of the port side. We'll do the same thing over on the starboard.
Copy.
The Unity, the first U.S.-built component of the International Space Station, is 18 feet long, 15 feet in diameter, weighs 25,600 pounds, and will serve not only as a passageway for the astronauts from module to module, much as the connecting node on the Mir space station does, but also is equipped with 6 docking ports for a variety of different components that will be sent to the International Space Station to be mated to the space station component by component as the space station begins to spread its wings and expand in size over the next several years. The Unity will provide attachment points for the U.S. laboratory module, the Destiny module, which will be launched in February of 2000. One of the three nodes, one of the other two connecting nodes, an early exterior framework or truss for the station, an airlock, and a multi-windowed component called a cupola. On the exterior of Unity, a variety of cables that are wrapped together and mounted strategically. Those cables and connectors will be mated to similar cables and connectors on the Zarya control module by Jerry Ross and Jim Newman during the course of their spacewalks next week. And again, this view from the one of the cameras on the robot arm of Endeavour as Nancy Curry poises the end effector of the arm directly over the grapple fixture. This very much the same view she will have tomorrow as she moves in for a grapple of Unity before the module is lifted out of the cargo bay to be mounted on the orbiter docking system's exterior ring.
Houston Endeavour for EVA.
Go ahead for EVA.
Airlock prep is complete.
Copy, thanks.
Just over the head of the plane.
Really neat when you can see the snares.
Yeah, it's not like on the scene. No, this is nice. Keep her coming, and the out the window view is awesome. You're about just about halfway down the camera.
Endeavour Houston, we're with you on the west. Initial look down here, looks like everything's going well.
Roger, Chris. Unity is grappled, and with your go, we are ready to release the Perlos.
You have a go.
With this live television from a camera in the payload bay of Endeavour, that call from Mission Specialist Nancy Curry that the arm is latched on to Unity. And now preparing to release the payload retention latches, 5 latches that have held Unity in place during launch.
Houston Endeavor, Unity's coming out of the payload bay.
We're watching.
The left-hand side of the screen in this view is the cone-shaped mating adapter and the docking mechanism at the end of it that will be aligned directly above a docking mechanism on Endeavor's orbiter docking system as Curry continues the installation of Unity on that docking system.
Houston Endeavor, we see ourselves in a good config. If you're happy, we're ready to fire the jets.
We have an excellent view through camera Charlie. You have a go to install Unity. Endeavor Houston, by our tally, you have had the ring aligned for over a minute. You are go to pick up with the ring in step 8.
Roger, Houston, we're picking up with step 8. Bye. And Houston Endeavor, you got a good view on camera Alpha if you want to watch.
We are watching.
Houston Endeavor, we show ourselves complete with step 18 on auto docking sequence. Houston Endeavor, we've got Unity firmly attached to Endeavor, and we're off to a great start on building the International Space Station. Thanks to everybody down on the ground for such excellent training.
Endeavor Houston, congratulations to all the members of the crew. It's a beautiful sight.
Okay, starting out, Nancy on the arm getting the note out, and I'll let her talk about how she maneuvered Unity around. You can see Jim backing her up.
Well, first off, we went very, very slow. I had warned these guys that we were going to go as slow as we possibly could, and just had a lot of great support up here. Jim is the best archer you could ever wish for. Bob was helping me out. Everybody on the crew was helping out, and it just went great. The arm flew great, and really speaks highly of our simulators, and certainly of the Canadian agency SPAR that built the arm for us. It flew just great.
Here's Nancy getting ready for the grapple. I know you guys had a lot of outside views, but we wanted to share what was going on inside. You can see some of our tools over there on the side. Jim's got our SAD working.
And we really appreciate the OSAT team, Victor and Stuart and Michelle and Mitch Maha. Thanks a lot for all their great work.
Here's Unity coming out of the bay. I went ahead and picked a shot where the camera was moving because Nancy was moving it so slow that it looked like a still photo every time I tried to tape something.
I'm sure you all noticed too while she was doing that Posh worked really well, and something we need to improve in the simulators back home because it just worked great up here.
If there's any rubs on it, Nancy didn't do it, that's for sure.
Probably can't see, but for those of us who are vertically challenged, I did employ the use of the FRED, the restraint device, and it worked well, and big thanks to the flight crew support folks that provided that for us during the flight. We've used it since day one, and I'll continue to use it throughout the flight.
Everybody was involved. Sergey was taking pictures and working IMAX, and Jerry was working IMAX and taking pictures. Hopefully we got some really good shots. You can see it out the overhead window here with the earth in the background. It really was a pretty sight.